All right, we're live
Okay.
with Gen XYZ, a Zen Gig production, of course. This is our show. What is this, episode 6, 7?
I think it might be 7.
It's like, yeah, it's been a few.
It
Yeah.
has been.
I don't keep track. We're just having fun.
We're having fun. Peter's on vacation.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, our whole purpose is to talk about the differences in the workplace among generations. So, of course, I'm Gen X. I'm Pete.
And I am Gen Y millennial. I'm Peter.
Oh, gotta boo.
I mean, the soundboard, if you're gonna do it, like do like that.
Yeah, actually,
I know.
you're not committed to that boo.
Gen Z's don't have technology.
I'm Ashley. I'm Gen Z.
All right.
And so we generally amuse ourselves on during this time as much as anything else. But if you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, we love comments. So please jump in. Let us know what you think. Today we are talking about unlimited vacation policies. Where the hell did that come from? That's what I want to know. And when did that start? You know which generation originated that, right? I mean, of course, we don't even have to say it, do we?
I mean, obviously, like but I'm just on vacation 24/7, so I'm already on unlimited vacation.
Right. Peter's wearing the Hawaiian shirt, so he's kind of playing the part. But seriously, I don't know where it began. I don't know when this started. Probably, I would assume in California, like all these things, right?
I would guess Google. Like it seems like a Google type thing, like with the beanbag chairs and whatnot.
Right, ball pits in the office, nap rooms, unlimited vacation seems like the natural evolution of it. But let's just start with the basics, right? What do you support this idea? Do you like it? Do you think it's good to do?
In theory, yeah. I mean, I think that everyone should take more vacation in general. I think that it's a good idea. But I think the execution of it is probably flawed. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, like I've yet to see a company that does it where people don't complain about it, or where people actually use it. Like, I mean, you probably see the same thing, Ashley, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with unlimited, I'd feel more hesitant to use it because I feel like I'd be judged. And it just is so disorganized. Whereas if you have PTO days, it's more organized. You feel more inclined to use up your days. And sometimes you're even rewarded them. So
you guys are saying that, and I don't think this is completely uncommon, that by having unlimited vacation days, you'll use less days, you'll use fewer. Is that?
Yeah. When every day's a vacation day, then no days are vacation days. Like
yeah.
I mean, I think if you're gonna give someone unlimited vacation, you'd be like, hey, go on. I'm gonna go for vacation like literally every other month. I'm gonna take it.
You just dropped a line from The Incredibles.
Yeah, I just dropped the syndrome line. When everyone's special, no one is.
All right, so that's actually one of the things that I came across in this is that companies don't really mean it, right? That's what this meme is all about? Is, hey, wink, you get quote unlimited vacation days, but it's disingenuous. Is that the implication?
I mean, I think so. I think that in theory, yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it's like that would be great for the everybody to be able to take vacation when you need it, work when but we live in the real world, so I don't think that it actually ends up working out like that. I think that it probably whoever started it meant well, and it sounded great. It sounds great on paper, and if anybody wasn't listening to this video, they'd probably be like, "Who are these 3 people being like, no, you shouldn't take unlimited vacation?" Like, I mean, it sounds great, and it sounds like it's a great selling tool. And I think that probably the first company that came out with it was like, man, people are going to love this. But in practice, I mean, you get.
I feel like it's hard to wrap my head around it because unlimited. What even is unlimited? Could I take like half the year off? Like,
yeah, that's what it means.
Well,
but like then everyone's gonna, and then who's gonna
unlimited
be
within
doing all the
reason is
work?
always the thing. But what is reason? So yeah, I mean, people work within defined boundaries.
Well,
I feel like
I think that's one of the knocks, right? We've now identified that, and that's not uncommon that companies say it, they don't mean it, and then the days end up not being used. And there's some statistics around that I was reading. I'll share with you in a second. But that why do it if you don't mean it? I think that's the first
Yeah.
part. But if you do it, do you really want? I mean, is there really a company going to be okay with their employees taking unlimited vacation? We know that is not the case. Impossible, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think that if you're in a role where you've got deliverables, you're like, I gotta make 10 sales a month or something like that. Then sure, you can go on vacation. You can work 1 day a month. If you can make all 10 of those sales 1 day a month and be on vacation the rest of the time, you're the most efficient person in the world. Great, but if that's in like a weird vacuum, like I think that it only works in certain like maybe individual contributor type roles. If you're like an admin, an office admin, you can't be gone because no one's going to do any of the administrative stuff. It's kind of not as it's less tangible.
we do have some comments coming in, guys. If you want me to take a second to read them, they're pretty interesting.
Let me just say real quick. I mean, so Peter, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. You can use them provided you're still able to do your job. If your job is to produce something that happens daily or weekly, then it's an impossible task. So I think that's worse. I mean, it's a bad idea to offer something that you don't mean, right? It's like, hey, I'll come help you move this weekend, but I'm out of the country, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't make it.
I would do it, but I can't do it. I'll help you move with my tiny little smart car, like, oh, you don't need to have any use for me? Okay, well, I offered.
Okay, so before we get to I found the stat I was looking for. How many days do you think, on average, and this is according to a Forbes article that I found, that employees actually take who have unlimited PTO? How many days?
2 weeks, 14.
Just a number. Just how many days?
10 days.
I say a total of 20.
20 days. And okay, so then compare that. How many days do you think the average American who doesn't have unlimited PTO takes? So with
12.
PTO that accumulates.
12.
I'll say probably the average 12. I'm going to say 3 weeks. So I'll say 15. So 5 business days each.
Okay. You've got to make it difficult, right? You can't just say a number. So, okay. So fair enough. So 17 days PTO on average, right? So when it's paid time off, 17 days, but those with unlimited, 10 days.
Huh.
So
10 days. So you know what? We now have unlimited vacation time, it turns out. So There we go. No, I'm kidding. We're not doing that. Not going to happen. Okay. So let's go to the comments.
All right, we have one coming in from Bella. She said, I agree with Ashley. If I had unlimited vacation days, I would feel hesitant to use them because it can come off as you are slacking. So that's one.
So that's a recurring theme with this now, but do companies know that? So do they do? I mean, it's a perk, right? It's something that, and maybe we're saying it's a gimmicky perk that companies are offering, but that'd be criminal, right? To offer it, but then not expect the employees to take advantage of it. I've never wanted to do it because I would assume people would take advantage of it, right? And rightfully so, but that's not, I can't reconcile that. How could we operate effectively when, to your point earlier, Ashley, in theory, everyone could be off for the next month? Well, we know that's not practical. So why say it if you don't mean it?
People use it. I mean, here's the thing. So it seems like these companies are putting it into effect, and they're never going to put a policy that says you can't, unless the policy is maybe you can't use more than 2 weeks at a time, which would make sense. I know some companies will do that, but like it's going to be more of an unsaid thing. Like now, so say I've got Pete and Ashley who do the same job, and Pete takes more days off, and maybe Ashley gets the promotion. Maybe Ashley's favored a little bit, and not on paper, but it's like an unsaid type rule. And I think that's what, like, it's office politics. You can pretend like it doesn't matter, but it does. And if your boss perceives you as working less hard than your peer, then the real world is, unfortunately, I think that the managers, that happens. Should it be that way? No. Should it be?
Wait, hold on. Okay, now the millennial in you is coming out. Should it be that way? Wait, so you're saying that the person who is most likely to get promoted, who works harder, right?
There's a perception. Yeah, the perception.
No,
if they don't work harder.
No, you said they did. They work. They put
I'm
in
just
more.
saying if they both get but if one person takes more vacation time and they seem to never be in the office, but maybe on paper they, what if they get the same numbers? You're going to still perceive that person who's on vacation all the time as being on vacation all the time.
Well, we could say if all things are equal, right?
Yeah.
But all things aren't equal in that scenario. One is more accessible and available than the other. Who would you want to rely on and put more responsibility on? If the person who's never there or the person who's always there?
I'm not saying they're not more. That gets into another point, which I want to get to later, is I feel like unlimited vacation blends your vacation time with your work. If you're always, you're able to take off whenever, are you really on vacation? You're still answering, maybe you're still answering phones or answering emails. I think people should be able to like unplug and, your time is your time. Don't let a company like encroach upon that.
Now that we agree upon.
Yeah.
Right? I certainly agree with that. But once again, if it's not practical, if you have unlimited vacation time, I mean, I'm okay with saying, hey, you can always be on vacation, provided you're also always available to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's a trade I'd make.
Yeah, exactly. So you're always like at the beach, but if I call you, like you still answer your phone. Like, okay,
never mind. I don't really want you at the beach always. That's not.
I'll always answer my phone though.
I forget I said that. I didn't say that. All right, go to the comments, Ashley.
All right. We have one coming in from Steven. Our association went to combined PTO instead of vacation and sick, so we seemingly accrue faster. Feels like more freedom and almost unlimited, but I have to remember that some PTO has to be used as sick in the end.
Okay, so that's actually a really interesting comment because it applies to something we did.
Yeah, we did
and it backfired like badly. And with good intention. So we looked at our PTO policy a couple of years ago. Peter knows this well. This is before you joined us, Ashley. And we realized that our employees weren't taking sick days. They just weren't really doing it. And so those were kind of going to waste. So we gave more PTO days, but blended them together exactly, exactly what Stephen's saying here. And it was, it went over like a lead balloon, right, Peter? I mean, you would know that. You were probably getting the direct feedback that I didn't get, and people were really upset. And I think we even lost some employees over because they mentioned it in their exit interview. So the math indicated that we were giving more days, but the perception, so back to that word again, was that you're taking something away from me. And our argument was we're taking something away that you didn't use. So we're really not taking that away. We're giving you something more. But man, did we get that wrong? I mean, it was like,
people, it was like, say you got 10 vacation days and 5 sick days. And we're like, all right, well, you only use maybe 2 sick days a year. So we're like, okay, we'll give you, 13 vacation days and not instead of, no sick days. And the perception was like, well, very few people used all of their sick days every single year. That was why we give you a couple more vacation days, you'll actually use them because people used all their vacation.
Yeah, there was one person in particular who was upset who had never used a sick day. So we're like, you realize you've never used it. Yeah, but it's there if I ever needed it, which is true. And I would argue that we're a small business, so we can be flat. When you say if you ever need it, that brings up some serious connotations. So I get it, but I think that perception is everything when it comes to a policy like this. And I think what we're heading towards in this conversation anyway is the perception of unlimited vacation is better than the reality of it for the employees. I mean, if these stats are right, here's another one just real quick. I thought it was interesting that now we've identified that those with unlimited vacation days take fewer days off, but they also report they have a better work-life balance. So that is in direct contrast. So you're taking fewer days off, but you're saying you have a better work-life balance. So go figure that.
I wonder if it's like the type of company that would do that is maybe the type of company that like probably they, at least on paper, they did it because they value employees' mental well-being. They value like not like going outside working, calling people at all hours of the night type of thing. So that's all I can think of is that type of company is probably the ones that are like, all right, we have unlimited, PTO, but they probably have a bunch of other things in place that are, maybe they'll do like community days where they work, do volunteer stuff like that, where if it's a hard driving company, they're probably not offering, unlimited PTO. It just seems like it's more of a symptom of like the type of company that's going to offer that.
So I guess this is when this comment comes in. We have Kate from LinkedIn saying, which industries do you think the policy would suit well then?
I think IT probably is one where it has to be one where people can work remote for a lot of the jobs, I would think. And it's probably got to be one where there's a lot of individual contributors. That's my personal opinion. If you're a software developer and you've got to get, X amount of projects done over the next month, if you can grind it out and like, you're like, hey, I'm going to work this next weekend and then I'm going to take like 3 weeks off. Like if you can do that, then fine. It's just, I think it doesn't really it doesn't work well when you've got to do like meetings and you got to send, collaborate with a lot of other people. If you're just heads down doing your own thing, you're good.
Maybe even like for like graphic design, let's just say you take on a really big project, you're going to meetings and like doing the project. Once that's done, then you could take like your unlimited PTO and then go back and do another project. But that's pretty much freelance.
Anything you can do freelance, I think about like that. Like anything that's like you could be a freelancer, like a consultant that works really well, graphic design, software development, even like some marketing roles. Like I think that's where it probably works well.
So it's really interesting this would come up. And I thought about it prior to this conversation and decided I wasn't going to bring up freelancing because I feel like I do it in every conversation because it really speaks to what is and is not healthy with the relationship between an employee and an employer. And as you guys well know, and as anyone who's listening for the first time to this will find out now that we're talking about it, I think that the traditional or the modern employee-employer relationship is extremely unhealthy because both sides have expectations that have nothing to do with the work, nothing to do with the job. The work, should be about trading value, and time for money.
You want it to be more transactional than it is.
Well, I think it should be about what's actually taking place, right? So Ashley mentioned graphic design. If I need if I need a graphic design project completed, I need to find someone with that skill and expertise who's available, interested at a price that I can afford, and that has to line up. And then on the other side, that graphic designer needs, it should spend time on work that they want to do that is paying them the right amount, so they can, they can feel satisfied and happy with what they're doing. And that's it. So we start adding all these other things to it, right? When you should work, healthcare, taxes. And there's so many things that now are wrapped around just the fact that someone is doing design work professionally and someone needs professional design work done. Yeah. And that's where freelance comes into all of this, because if you're a freelancer, you do have unlimited vacation.
That's what the freelance is like. Unlimited vacation is basically a company trying to emulate like being a freelancer. Work when you want to.
Well, the problem is though that the companies the companies don't function that way.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they most don't. So I don't think you can have one foot in that pool. You need to either decide you are working under a freelance arrangement with everything that comes with that, or you aren't. And I would prefer the world to be entirely freelance, but no one's ready to do that yet. But I do believe that's why the freelance market's growing in popularity, because what we're talking about is perceived unlimited vacation time that's not real. Where in that sense, it is real, and there's no guilt. There's no one else to be accountable to other than yourself. And as adults, right, professional adults, you should be able to live and operate that way.
You should, but you got to think realistically, a lot of people, and probably most people, can't function in a non-structured way. That's why a lot of people don't succeed in remote roles. Like the people that don't is they need a structured environment. They need to be. It's like, people join the army to, they're like, I need that structure. That's like the old, saying with it. I think that people they should be, if they're told, hey, you've got a month of vacation, you've got, 4 weeks in each of the businesses, you got 20 days. Here you go. You can use 20 days a year, and that's your amount of time. It's boundaried, it's structured. People feel confident. They feel like safe in that I can use those 20 days. When I get to the end, I don't have any more days. If they say, work whenever, unlimited, then it's too abstract. And I think people's minds can't grasp onto that. That's a thing. People are like, they want that comfort of rules.
I feel like also in a way, getting PTO days sometimes is like motivate, like keeps a person motivated. So, some companies will actually reward a person like a PTO day if they succeed at something or are doing really well. And maybe it's like our participation trophy or the sticker that Gen Z and millennials loved receiving when they were doing good. Like they'd always, participation trophy. But in a way, getting a PTO day as like a reward, like that, would motivate me. But I feel like just having unlimited vacation days and not.
Instead, have a generous policy. Like, I think companies should give more PTO. I think Americans work far too much. I think that there is, if you're going to give me a generous policy, that means more to me than being like unlimited. Use whenever you think, whatever you deserve.
Okay.
Because that's where some people are like, I don't want to be too greedy.
All right. So let's take a different approach to this. Ashley, I agree with what you're saying, that companies offer it as a reward. So first, we're saying, okay, it can be a perk. And I think in large part it came about, I do believe, and I think we're all assuming this came from the tech industry, where we know for years now, there's been more jobs than qualified candidates. It's really hard to hire technical talent, especially at a high level. So offering what historically would be considered kind of out there perks and benefits, crazy stuff in the office and unlimited vacation time, became a tool for recruiting, right? Attracting talent. So what if it was a trade-off instead? And so you said, okay, you can have 10 more vacation days or healthcare. What do you think about that?
I feel like that's unfair.
Yeah, people are gonna. I mean, like healthcare. That's probably like an area where.
No. I don't mean you can't have healthcare. I mean company paid healthcare. Right. So what if it was like an a la carte thing that you offered? Where if you and where I'm going with that is, would that remove the guilt from the equation if you knew that there was something tangible tied to it? So companies pay an exorbitant amount of money for healthcare, those who provide it. I mean, healthcare is really expensive in the US. We know that, right? Someone has to pay for it. We know that too. Well, in many cases, the employer pays for it. Now that's back to the freelance argument, where I wonder, when did that become a thing, right? Like, why should employers be tied to an individual's healthcare? Put that aside. That's the way we've evolved. But what if it was presented differently? Would you then be okay with taking unlimited vacation time when you felt I'm sacrificing something else for this? It's mine, therefore I'll use it. Would it be more meaningful then?
I think so. I mean, that's interesting. I've never thought about like having something like that where you're like, you get this instead of that. So, it is truly like something that you're actually earning, I guess. I don't know. That's an interesting.
I don't know.
On that one.
Or okay,
sorry, go ahead. I'd probably go for a company that gives me both.
Well, but again, there's whether employees realize it or not, companies it all goes to the same budget, right? So it's not that, and that's once again where I go down the freelance lane. See, once you guys open the door, I can't.
We're just rename this the freelance podcast.
Well, so go backwards a little bit. And when I started in contract staffing, the typical scenario, we'll just take a software developer. A software developer who's a direct employee could be making $50,000 a year, and they get vacation days, PTO, they get healthcare, they get whatever perks and benefits their company offers, right? And let's just we know it's not actually the math, but that equates to roughly $25 an hour, right? Now, but the contract employee who doesn't get PTO, doesn't get healthcare benefits, sitting right next to that same person doing the same job is getting $40 an hour. So my point is, the budget is fixed for the role, It's about whether you're putting the dollars in the individual's pocket or you're paying for perks and benefits. And so the beauty of contract staffing for people who chose that career, which really has migrated into freelancing in a way because of the Affordable Care Act, effectively said, you're still an employee. Companies still have to provide, offer certain things like healthcare, right? Or states have passed laws to say you still have to provide vacation days to contract employees in certain states. So that's now off the table, but no one was complaining is my point, because once again, as adults, you should have the freedom to choose what's more important to you individually, where I may value healthcare, someone else for my employer to pay it. Someone else may value having that extra $10 an hour or whatever it is in their pocket because they have healthcare through their spouse or through through other means.
I mean, for the contract thing, yeah, that makes total sense. But I guess in Ashley's, what she said, like if a company's willing to offer you both, you're probably going to be like, all right, well then pay for both.
Right, I'm offering you both, but you're going to make $10,000 less than you could have somewhere else.
I mean, maybe that's the case. That would be, that's probably more of a real world example where the company's going to be slightly less, but the perks are like insane. So people are like, all right, well, that's a trade-off.
I'd still take it. Yeah.
Well, that was a knock on this, all the stuff in the Google, offices. So where it was a gimmick to keep people at work.
Yeah.
Right? Like we'll offer you all the toys and free food and drinks and all this stuff.
Like, your office is going to be cooler than your actual home. So just be working all the time.
Right. So should it ultimately be more of an a la carte scenario where it's, in the fictitious scenario I was just describing, hey, our budget for this is $50,000. You can choose whether to take all that $50K in your pocket and make it an hourly equivalent over 2,080 hours a year, or you can get 20 vacation days, but you're only going to pocket, but each vacation day is going to cost the equivalent of what you'd make out of that 50K. So we're going to back that out of your comp.
I think that would go over like a lead balloon. Like people are all they're gonna see is you're taking away is that you could give them 50,000, but you're choosing not to because you're saying that, oh well, you being not at work is
what I'm describing is freelancing effectively. You can be a direct employee, and get all these things, but the freelancer is going to make more money per hour because they don't get that other stuff.
Oh, I don't think anybody's like believing that freelancers aren't going to make more. I mean, I see freelancers, so maybe it's just because I actually work with them, and they're like, I charge $200 an hour. I'm like, okay, but you're not making $200 for 40 hours a week working at a company, like and I think that's the case is you got to pay for healthcare, you got to pay for your own, whatever. Maybe you're $200 an hour, you're working 10 hours a week as opposed to a full 40. But if we're going company to company, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be as attractive.
Okay, so Stephen, we have another comment about HR having to deal with people who abuse the unlimited vacation policies. That has to be a real thing. I mean, that has to happen pretty often. But if I don't know if anyone's watching. You have a specific scenario. I don't know one first.
I don't know anybody that has that. Yeah, like what is abusing?
Yeah, you're hired day one, and you're like, see you in January. I'm taking the rest of the year off. We know that's not possible. So there's really, are we saying ultimately there is no unlimited vacation?
Well, yeah, because it's like, all right, so I'm gonna take every Thursday and Friday off, like every other week for the next year. And they're like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, so it's not unlimited. What is the amount? You think I can take a month? Okay, then give me a month. Don't say it's unlimited.
I mean, I guess for example, like I used to work at a bakery and like we didn't have PTO days, but we had like we could take vacation whenever we wanted to. We just had to like let them know when we would be going. And they'd be like, find a cover if possible. But like, even if you found a cover, Or like, let's just say I took off this Friday and found a cover. Like, they'd still judge and they'd still get mad. Even if you had like a cover and everything and you're using up, like, you don't have PTO, but they said like you can take off like whenever. There was still like that judgment. They were like, I remember like hearing them be like, well, why did they take off? Why did they need to find a cover? Like that kind of thing. So,
Well, now, do you think it was judgment because you think they're in the wrong, right? I mean, but they need someone to work. I mean, there's
but even if they had
reality.
someone like cover, someone that was off that day said, yes, I'll cover you. I'll work for you that day instead. But yet they still like got upset.
Oh, so
that, like,
they've got someone working. It just isn't you.
yeah.
Well, then
And maybe that person wasn't that good, but still, like, I, did what I was responsible for. I found a cover.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Took off Friday, gave enough notice.
That's a manager's problem. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, give us a comment if you know of any firsthand abuse of unlimited vacation. So we're all concluding that it's not actually real. The stats show that it doesn't actually happen. But we'd love some firsthand.
yeah, I would love for someone to give me an example of somebody who, who really like took too much time, because I'm going to say if they're that kind of person, they probably don't care about their job at all. Like anyway, like if you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to take every other month off and I'm serious.
Wait a minute, millennial guy. You 10 minutes ago you were saying that it was all perception. That
I think it is. I mean, if you're still good at your job and you can do it, that's one thing. But if you're actually getting to the point where it's abuse, then what? If it's legitimate, I'll say if it's a legitimate abuse, like where you're really taking a time off and it's actually affecting your job and you're not able to do it, then they weren't going to be good anyway. I mean, but if you're able to get your work done, I mean.
All right, this is recorded, so we can go back at some point later and say, "Wow, Peter, remember when you said it didn't matter the person who didn't work much?"
I didn't say the person who didn't work much. I said the person who wasn't there, but if they still got their job done.
We need a playback button.
An absentee. Okay, so here's just one more interesting stat. It really doesn't have anything to do with unlimited vacation, but I thought it was in the same article. So, how many average holidays does the U.S. worker get? So on average.
Like national holidays?
Paid holidays. So you quantify that however, but just paid holidays.
12. I'm going to say 12. I think there's like 12 national holidays.
I'll say 8.
7.6. Ash is winner of that one.
Or
in Price is Right.
I think bank holidays.
Both lose. Okay, so the federal employees have 11 paid holidays, and they're taking them, right? Who name them? Can you name them?
Christmas.
Well, let Ashley try.
Christmas, New Year's, Memorial Day.
Yep.
Christmas, Memorial Day.
One coming up.
I wouldn't say.
Ashley's not from this country. You're not a patriot.
No, I'm trying to go in order. Stuff.
Yeah, the one coming up, the next one.
Oh, is it Christmas? No, Christmas, New Year's. Columbus Day isn't one.
All right, tap out. It is one. It is one.
It is?
It is. Yep.
Oh.
But Columbus Day already passed. 4th of July.
4th of July.
4th of July, Labor Day.
Ash is working.
Oh, that one? Oh.
Ash is working on 4th of July. So if you can't name it, you have to. If you can't name the federal holiday, you have to show up for work that day. That should be cool. If you don't know what the holiday represents, you have to work. All right, Peter.
So Veterans Day.
It's the 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and
Thanksgiving.
Probably Martin Luther King Day, I would say.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Martin Luther.
You're missing a few.
President's Day. Is
Christmas
President's
Eve
Day?
and the day after Thanksgiving are not federal holidays, which I thought the day after Thanksgiving would be, but it's not.
President's Day. Is that
no.
one?
Nope. Veterans Day. Labor Day. I don't know if you guys mentioned that.
I said Labor Day.
The new kid on the block, Juneteenth. That's a federal holiday
That's
now.
a federal holiday?
Yeah, as of I think 2 years ago. And then Washington's birthday. So there we go. That's all of them. It's 11. So who knew? So federal employees, you will never get unlimited vacation days, perceived fictitious or otherwise, but you will get 11 paid
11,
holidays,
yeah, there
which
you
is
go.
more than the national average by far.
I think you get more. I think you get a bunch of other perks by working for the federal government, though. So
I think so.
Sure.
I think so. But that's a different show. So next week we will talk about the recent Gallup survey on employee satisfaction, or after reading it, lack thereof.
satisfaction.
Yes, lack thereof. With all this vacation,
I've got some thoughts on that, on the on why younger workers are disenfranchised.
well, you want to give us a little teaser to that, since
I mean,
we're
it's
here?
the world right now. Like we see, companies making record profits, and a lot of people are not seeing that on their take home. And I think that we're seeing a lot of companies trying to play games like unlimited vacation time. So people are not too happy with the job prospects or the outlook on the future. So I think that's going to be.
It's everyone's fault, but it's the fault of the
I mean,
generation
it's
before you.
I think it's the previous generation's faults.
Of course. All right, last thing. If we get any more questions, we'll stay. Otherwise, we're gonna bounce after this. 3 countries, or name any of the countries, and you will not. You get 3 guesses apiece with the most paid vacation days.
France.
No.
I thought it was France.
No.
Denmark.
No.
The U.S.
No. No. Definitely not.
England.
No.
Nope.
Spain.
All right. No, you're not even close. You're just going all Europe. Iran, 53.
Okay.
San Marino, and I had to look up San Marino when I saw this, and that's, if anyone's listening still, if you're still hanging around, San Marino looks pretty awesome. It's like this little, I think it's like on the Italian peninsula. It looks amazing, and it's just
That's where like the Formula One races are.
Yeah, so go to San Marino, live in a beautiful setting, and you get 46 days off a year on average. And then the Yemen is number 3 at 45.
Dang. I thought Denmark.
I wouldn't have guessed
the happiest
that.
place in the world.
Yeah. Okay. Countries with the fewest paid days.
U.S.
U.S. is number 3 with 10 on average.
Wow.
You're not going to get the other 2, so I'll just tell you.
I was like, I only know it because
Wait.
it flashed up on the screen when you were preparing to one of them.
China.
Oh, I'll give you a hint. Ashley, here, this is a hint, and you have to know this. If you're trying to choose your state of Florida in a drop down, this always pops up, and it's like a head scratcher. Why this is always a default
I know
F for location.
I know what you're talking about.
Come on,
Oh my
Peter, I thought you'd know
God.
this.
Well, it's at the tip of my tongue now, but it's like, no, I
Is
know.
that-
Federated States of
Micronesia.
Micronesia has fewest, even though they're always in everyone's drop down who's trying to choose Florida. Micronesia has 9. Nauru, not familiar with their work. They have 10, and then the U.S. is tied with 10.
Nauru?
Nauru, yes. Perhaps it's a fictitious place.
I've heard of most countries, and that is actually one that I've not. I think that's the Avatar.
That's a new one.
We are not your geography experts. So, all right, I think that's a wrap for today, you guys. So, where do we stand, millennials?
I think it's good. I think it's good in theory, but like most things, it's probably not practiced. People aren't practicing what they preach. So,
I think I'm neutral. I think it's bad in a way where people are less inclined to take it, but I think if, they actually mean what they say, then it's not bad.
I don't like anything about it, so that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to be true to form with Gen X. I don't think it makes sense. I don't get it. I'd rather put money in people's pocket and let them take off, and enjoy that instead. But it's got to be realistic. Don't say it if you don't mean it. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Don't be a hypocrite.
There you go. All right. Well, then goodbye for this week, and thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
See you guys later. We need to play Jimmy Buffett. Play us out.